Welcome, everyone, to the Feminine Outliers podcast, your dose of fun, life advice, and experiences from two African professional women living and working in the Western world. We are your hosts, Zelda Wasau
and Cholwe Mandona.
And we are excited to have you here with us. So, welcome back to another episode. I am very excited about this episode. This is going to be a fun, loving, cute episode. So I'm hoping you guys can enjoy it and identify with us, identify with some of the things we talk about. But as per usual, we are going to start with our unlearning pieces. So, Cholwe, I will start with you. What have you been unlearning this week?
Yeah, so this week I have been unlearning that you do not need to rely on individuals or people around you to give you the thumbs up or the validation for what you want to do. Yeah, because I think for myself, and maybe it started off growing up with family and looking to my parents or my siblings to approve of
Mm-hmm.
what I want or what I like, or that whatever I was doing was a good idea. But I think there's just a certain point after, I guess at some point in adulthood where at least I have come to realize that there's no need. I guess it's good and a gift to have people around me that appreciate me and want the best for me, and so are willing to give advice and also provide their perspective if they think something is not good for me or something is not representative of me. But ultimately, I have come to realize that I am in control, and the ultimate validation comes from me. That's just something I have come to recognize, and every other person's validation is secondary. It's what I think of myself, or in terms of the decisions I make and just how I view life. And so not waiting to get the thumbs up, because also you might never receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's just no right answer. The right answer is the one that you choose for yourself.
Hmm. My
Yeah.
unlearning, ironically, is somehow similar to that.
Oh,
A little
okay.
bit of a twist, but a little bit of a twist, but somehow similar to that. But I like that because it's. I feel like with a lot of times when you wait for validation from other people, it will hold you back, and you might never get
Mm,
something. You might never get stuff done because sometimes also the vision you see for yourself, someone else might not get it or might not
yeah.
understand why or where you're coming from. So
Mm-hmm.
it it could become a whole other, it's another whole other thing that can just really hold you back. So I really believe in that but it's a hard thing to exercise, in my
Mm-hmm. It can
opinion,
be.
because it takes also a lot of self confidence, self awareness to be able to pull that
Mm-hmm.
off. Because I'm not gonna lie, getting validation from people is it feels good. I think it doesn't
Yeah.
matter who you are. There is an element of it that we all need in our lives. Like, it's always nice to have someone clapping over your shoulder and being like, "Good job." But
Yeah.
that is not going to be the case all the time. It probably won't be the case a lot of the times. So I think that's where, using that really comes into place, because it's so key to be able to just get stuff done. You know,
Yeah.
we can't. It's gonna hold you back. And it's funny because so my unlearning is somewhat kind of similar to that. Basically, I'm unlearning feeling guilty about not not being in the exact like not being the exact person I guess my parents want me to be. Um or
Nice.
what I think they want me to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because again,
Mm.
it might just be all in my imagination, but um, I think one of the, and I think that's why it's a bit similar to yours because it's kind of like as you grow up, you obviously your parents raise you in a certain way. Most parents raise you the way they the way they seem fit, and the best way they think for you. They try to
Mhm.
set you up for like the future and all that stuff. Sometimes you grow up and there's certain things you keep like you stay with um from childhood that you realize this is good, this is a good foundation, I can keep these. But there's certain things you also change as you grow up because you start to see more of the world, you start to get more perspectives, and you realize mom and dad think like this, but then I would rather go this route, and I would rather do this or think like that. And I feel like sometimes, I don't know how it is, but I think also growing up in an African home, you kind of feel like, oh, I was growing up, I grew up to do this, that, this is how I'm supposed to do on this day, blah, blah, blah. And you feel like if you
Mhm.
fit the box and you tick the boxes, you'll feel like a good child. But then
Mhm.
if it's not serving you at this point in your life, or it's not who you are, because I feel like there's an element of who you are that you discover as an adult when you're now
Mhm.
away from your parents and you don't have their structure in your life. You're actually able to discover another side to yourself. And like now that I feel like I know who I am, there's certain things that I took with me as a child that I keep, the other things that I don't keep, but I just feel guilty about
Mm.
sometimes I feel guilty about, oh, should I be doing this? And my parents can be happy you're doing that. But then I realize, well, I think ultimately the most important thing is that I'm happy. And if I just stick to doing stuff that I think I'm supposed to do because my parents raised me like X, Y, and Z, it's going to hold me back.
Yeah.
And it's going to prevent me from really being the person I want to be.
Mhm.
So it's just funny because I thought about it and I was like, Because sometimes you're like, well, I don't want to displease my parents, but hey, you can't please the world. And again, it it comes that whole thing you're saying is you cannot wait for other people's validation. I can't be like, I need validation from my parents with this and this and that and that. No, I just have to go ahead and live my life. If they give me validation with
Mhm.
certain things, that's good. If they don't approve of certain things, that's okay. But ultimately,
Yeah.
thinking as an adult, I now should be able to know myself, make decisions for myself, and then also just the basic fact that every decision has consequences, and I have to
Mhm.
just live with the consequences, whatever I make, if it's good or bad. It's part of
Mhm.
being an adult. So that's kind of what I'm learning. It's like I don't have to feel guilty. It's like you're an adult now. Live your life, do things like you like to do. If your parents,
Mhm.
like if you want to get a tattoo, get a tattoo. If you want to do this, like just do things that you want to do. So yeah,
Yeah. No, that's true. Wow. Okay. And we didn't even talk about this. We didn't talk
right.
about our unlearnings, but great minds think alike. Um, so that's pretty cool. Yes, I agree with that, and I think it's important then, just to recognize, because that guidance that our parents were giving us was helpful. At least it gave us like a north star
Hmm.
when we were kids. But then, yeah, then there's just a point where you kind of recognize and be like, okay, thank you for this North Star. Now I will have my own North Star because now I know who I am. And, but yeah, as you said, it doesn't mean that because now you're going on your own and you have your own ideas or vision for your life, it doesn't mean that you're going to get it right all the time. In fact, you will, probably get bruised in some places, but then, as you said, it builds character, and then you get to even know yourself better, and then become the best version of yourself, hopefully in the long run. So good, good points there, Zell.
I like how our unlearning topics are very deep. And I
I
was think it's a
know
really fun topic. It's like, okay, let's start deep and then let's go and just have a fun um,
that, yeah.
episode.
It's a combination of our personalities, to be fair, because I think there are times where I say things and you're like, oh, that's deep. It was really simple, Cholway, and you took it that far. Um, and then, so I kind of feel like this is like my fun part, to be fair, the unlearning part. But yeah, let's dive into something lighter, and fun.
Yay. Okay. So today we're dealing, as you can see by the title of this episode, please stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we're going to be talking about certain pet peeves we have um, in general. And I am pretty sure you guys can identify with some of this. Of course, certain pet peeves, Chole has, I don't have, and vice versa, because it's a very much individual thing. But it's a fun episode. Because I'm sure a lot of you out there can identify with some of these things. It's just part of being human. It's part of living in this world. You have to live with other people and you have to deal with certain things. So, we're going to start with the first, please stop doing that, pet peeve. And this one is something that Cholwe is very passionate about.
Oh, I,
It's
even
so
before you, yeah, even before you even started, I was just like, oh, this episode's going to be like a stress reliever. Like, I'm just warning you, listeners, like, this is going to be, I was just like, yeah, it's a tough one. But, yes, just buckle up. Okay. Yes. Sorry, Zell. Yours.
Okay, number one, wearing bonnets in the airport or outside or something.
Oh, okay. Just a moment of silence on that. Yes, the bonnets. Okay, so first of all, if there is somebody that could write to us or send us an email on Spotify, Instagram, one of our social media platforms, if there is a more, like, how do I say, attractive way to cover my hair, um like somebody has just come up with something that's really cool, looks pretty, please let me know. But for me, one thing for sure is that the bonnets is not it. Like, in all the innovations that we have come up with in the world, I think we need to like find something else, because I cannot. I just don't like them. Even indoors, I don't like bonnets. Even indoors, and that's how bad it is. And then when to see people wear it publicly, whew, it just I yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that, Zell. And I just cringe. I just cringe for myself, for the person, for society. And I'm just like, we've got a long way to go. When I see bonnets being worn out there, we've got a long way to go. So just, yeah.
It's funny because I've seen this happen. I've seen this like when a fellow black women wear bonnets to the airports, particularly. I've seen this to the airports, and okay, I think part of me says it shouldn't necessarily matter how you look. Like, just do you and enjoy it. But I have to admit, the bonnets also makes me cringe a little bit.
Mm,
Um, in a sense that it's something you wear to sleep. Yeah, I know you could sleep in there in the the airport, like in the plane and stuff like that. But even in the plane, when I sleep, I don't wear a bonnet. Like I feel like it
Mm-hmm.
just makes you. It's kind of in a sense looks a bit less classy, like
Yeah.
and less put together. Like if you wear it to the plane and you're sleeping, that's different. But now when you're walking around in
Yeah.
the airport, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem classy to me. Eh.
Yeah, exactly. I like if you know when the air hostess turns off the lights in the plane, or the pilot is like, it's clear skies, we'll be there in like 6 hours, whatever, and the lights are off. That Yeah, like I would say put on the bonnet then.
Mhm.
And then in the morning, like I actually have done that, but I use a scarf. So I would say, yeah, like when the lights come on, it's like I yeah, mm-mm, yeah.
I just find it cringy. Then they come. I've seen them come in with like bonnets and then Crocs and I don't know, or not even Crocs,
Oh,
the fluffy slippers, or I don't know what they are. Like basically, it looks like you're in the house,
yeah.
but you're not in the house. I mean, there's
Exactly.
differing thoughts on it, but I it's what I'm not as passionate about it as you are, but
Yeah.
I still something I personally would do. Because also, I mean, maybe this is me being vain. Oh, actually, not vain, shallow. um, but also, how you look in the airport affects certain things. Like, you're more likely to get an upgrade if you look well put together, um, and things
Mm,
like that. So,
yeah.
if you look like you're worried about it all, not to me, it doesn't look well put together. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it carries like a survival mentality of where like, oh, I'm gonna be on this plane for so long, so I might as well just be like, you know, just let go of myself, I guess. And in my mind, I'm thinking, no, this is an opportunity. Like my life can change in this airport. Just you don't know who you're gonna meet. Like I want to be like my best version of myself in the airport.
Right?
Uh,
But a lot of people don't. I don't know. It's like they're just like a traveling. I know traveling can be uncomfortable too. But hey, guys, like just try. Like I
Yeah, yeah,
don't
no,
know.
yeah. It is what it is. It's yeah. Like I said, unless there's another idea that I haven't heard about and it's rocking everyone's world. Yeah, let's keep it indoors. That's that. Yeah, that's my take on this one.
Okay. And keeping in line with the airport or traveling, whatever. One of my pet peeves is people who stand, uh, like immediately the plane finishes taxiing as they're waiting for the doors to be, opened. In my head, I'm like, why are you standing at? Like, it's not going to, like, you can't get out of the plane faster.
Mm.
Like, stop standing immediately the plane lands. Like, it's gonna go, like, the people at the front will go first, and they usually try to do row by row. Like, I understand if you're rushing to get to a connection and stuff, you might want to be one of the first people in the aisle. But still, I mean, that might give you maybe an extra 2, 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes,
Mm.
but where are you going? Like, why about you just sit and wait until you realize they're starting to? I mean, you can get your stuff ready in your seat, but then
Mm.
sit down and then wait, and then when it's your turn, we see people are moving. Now you can get up because sometimes, like, if I sit in the aisle and the people there, the one next to me is already standing up, I stay seated. I'm like, why
Mm.
do you want me to stand and just wait standing with all these people who are
Yeah.
standing? Like in my head, I'm like, what is the point?
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why people do that. I wonder if it's just like people are just tired of being in the plane, and they feel like they want to get out, but they're not actually going to get out because they just have to follow procedure and wait. Um
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. I don't know the thinking behind it. Is it also just a hard mentality? Like everyone's doing it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Like, oh, like somehow I'm going to get out of the plane faster if I stand up. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. It is hard though, because I think we did something like that on the train. I think you said, you told me, let's wait for everybody else. And there was just that feeling of like, oh wow, everyone is leaving, but I'm going to stay in. But as you said, there was no need for us to rush. First of all, we were on vacation, so where we, yeah, we're still going to have to wait when we get outside. So no,
Yeah.
good one.
It's funny because it also goes hand in hand with, um, okay, I can kind of see where this one comes from partially, but people who are like fighting to like get onto the plane, not fighting, but everyone's like scrambling to get onto the plane. Now, I understand that the main reason, well, the logical reason for doing this would be maybe overhead baggage space. Maybe
Yeah.
that's where you might want to get on earlier because overhead baggage space might become an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I remember one of my flights to Kenya when I was in Dubai and connecting to Nairobi, and everyone, people were pushing get onto the plane, and I'm like, we all have seats. Why are
Wow.
we pushing? And then fine, overhead
Yeah.
baggages might be the issue, but your baggage is gonna make it either way or other. Like I just think
Yeah.
that I'm like, why can't we be orderly? And
Yeah.
I remember some Arab guy passing by, and he was like, "Oh my goodness, those are Kenyans." I heard him say that, and I'm just like, ah.
And so I was like, yeah, he's right. Yeah.
I'm like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and speaking of that, it's that thing of where like people are rushing to get onto the plane, and then when they're in their seat, it's like, okay, and then what? Because yes, you made it first, and it's not like you're buying any more nap time because it's like, look, we're all in this together. The result is
Mhm.
the same, you know? um yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, another one. I think you said this one was uh one of your please stop doing that is you're casting your responsibility to others. Is that something you is that
Oh
something
yeah,
you recall?
that's my deep self coming out again. Yeah, it's that idea, even when people are interacting, but people not taking responsibility for their emotions. I'm not sure whether it's the same. It's a different one. Um, but just having ownership of oneself. Now, it's maybe this is an episode on its own. To be fair, but
100%.
it, uh, yeah, but it's that thing of where people cannot just be authentic and honest with the people around them and say, this is, I feel this way. But instead, people like to say, this thing made me feel this way. Like it's like the thing, which is not them, is making them feel this way instead of I feel this way about this thing. So, and maybe because I've, done some work and do a lot of reading, I've just noticed that. And when I notice that, to me, it's kind of like you're not taking full responsibility. And I find it harder and harder to connect with people like that because it's like their starting point is like, well, you're not even acknowledging your own feelings. So
Hmm.
how can I even help you there? Because what they are inviting me to do is to get into their world of the blame game. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not about to start getting into. this conversation as to why the world is messed up. You know, I just can't. I just don't have the time. Maybe another day when I have all my mental energy. Right now I'm trying to be as positive and happy as possible. And you trying to tell me about this is the reason why this is not working out, this and this and this and this and this, is exhausting. It's just very draining. And so it's just this thing of where, like, I I, I find it easier to deal with people that say I feel this about this.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. It sucks. But at least I'm gonna take that responsibility. I'm just sharing as opposed to transferring,
Mm.
emotions to other people or or to things outside themselves.
And you know that when they transfer their emotions and stuff to other people, that's projecting, and it's an immature way of handling your emotions or handling things on your own. It's like you just
Hmm.
project it to other people, and I agree. Like not taking responsibility uh, for yourself, it's such an important thing, and I feel like sometimes people don't realize they're not doing it because it also comes for you to not do that. It also comes with a certain sense of emotional maturity and emotional awareness, or just generally
Hmm.
self awareness. Some people might not realize it because it's easier to blame other people and blame your circumstances, your surroundings, and everything instead of looking introspectively and thinking, well, what part do I play in all of this? What can I do to change? What is my, you know, responsibility in this whole
Hmm.
entire mess? It takes, a certain level of maturity to do that. So,
Yeah.
but I think when you're someone who has that level of maturity and you see people just refusing to take responsibility for your stuff, it's annoying. I agree. Like I'm like, in my head up,
Hmm.
just like, nope, don't blame me. Nope, mm-mm. Do not blame
Yeah.
me. Like, look into it and figure it out. But it goes hand in hand with my pet peeve of emotional dysregulation, uh,
Mm.
which you know very much. How I hate it because I deal with it in the hospital with all the voice notes I send you randomly and be like, oh my goodness, this happened in the hospital. This
Yeah.
patient's family did this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And, I see emotional
Yeah.
dysregulation a lot in the hospital because at least people are their most vulnerable, whether it's
Mhm.
patients or families. It happens more so with families. Um,
Mhm.
because the patients might be too sick to be emotionally dysregulated, but the families are like,
Yeah.
it's like they just can't handle, oh my goodness, my loved one is sick and this and that. Some of them also, like, you find there's a lot of guilt. Like if you never had a good relationship with your loved one or you weren't with them a lot of times, it's as if it's time
Mhm.
to play catch up and make up for
Mhm.
all of that. And that leads to so much emotional dysregulation. Like families just freak out and they start like, oh, demanding this and that, and oh, they'll be like, where's the doctor? The doctor doesn't come back. Can the doctor come back soon? My family member is dying. I mean, the family member is not dying, but in their eyes, everything is just
Mm.
way
Yeah.
amplified, and it's so irritating for me to have to handle these emotions because it takes time. It takes time out of
Mhm.
my day, and it just delays me. Like you're there
Yeah.
freaking out, and in my head, I'm like, why are you freaking out? Like,
Mhm.
legitimately. And I understand, like, obviously, if you don't have the medical knowledge, you will not be able to. You might not understand. Like, you think your patient is dying, but they're not dying. So I get that, but like
Mhm.
when you sometimes tell the nurse like, okay, I will see the patient when I'm rounding, and then the nurse keeps on texting, family member keeps on coming out and asking for you, and I tell the nurse, same answer, I will come when I'm rounding.
Mm.
I will come when I'm rounding. Because to me, that also sounds like someone who does not know how to handle themselves. Like, I know you're panicking, I know this is happening, but I mean, it's not as if we're not aware of what's going on. Like, I'm
Mm.
monitoring what's happening with all my patients. So you're
Mhm.
panicking, and the patient is, based off my monitoring, is fine. It's just like, so basically you want me to cater to your emotions to make you feel better. And I don't do that. Like, it's funny
Mhm.
because when I have a family member like that, I don't know if people realize it, but I will purposefully go there last. If I was going to see you next, oh hell no, I'm going there last, because it means like this is going to be another waste of my time, me having to handle you and your emotions and having to explain, no,
Mhm.
this is how it works. This is what it is. Like, I feel like people need to get a hold of their emotions, because I understand it's really, really emotional with your family member there. But you spazzing
Mhm.
out is not helping your family member either. Then it's also not helping the doctor, who needs to be able to think clearly and have
Yeah.
time, because I'm there trying to soothe you and be your therapist. Like, I've started getting to a point in which I refuse to be people's therapist. Like,
Mm.
nope, you can handle those emotions yourself. I'll tell you this is what it is. Move on.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just what it's
Yeah.
a big pet peeve I have in the hospital. Like, control yourself. I see.
Wow.
I see this
Wow.
happening. I know it happens
That's like
all over in general, but it's just bad in the
yeah.
hospital because people are just so vulnerable and they just don't know how to control their emotions. But yeah.
Mm. Okay. That was quite the release there. I feel like we need a moment of silence on that. Um but yeah, no, you're definitely right on, emotions carry energy. And I think if you like being into fitness, for example, you find that people will advise you not to be stressed, because the body is going to react to that stress, and it might prevent you from losing weight and just being highly performative, because emotions do carry energy. And if only people kind of recognize that, and it's like
Hmm.
it's almost like, yeah, you can decide what emotion in a way you want to experience, not all the time obviously, but as you said, you can manage it and just accept that this is what you're feeling in the moment and try and deal with it, instead of giving it to someone else to be like, oh, I'm upset, so I'm gonna make you upset. um and and it's, to me, it's also that sort of thing, like people not realizing that life is just lifing, and so
Hmm.
people are trying to like oppose it as opposed to just accept it.
Hmm.
So that's why we're saying manage your emotions. We're not saying get rid of them, because it's
True.
just more of, you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
just it's just kind of been like, obviously nobody wants to be in the hospital. Nobody wants their loved ones in the hospital, but life is just lifing. So we have to deal with it every single day, manage it, and try and live the best life we can. And I mean, none of us create emotions. They're here to help us, but yeah. So
I like that when you said manage your emotions. We're not trying to get rid of them, but manage your emotions. That's very true. But again, that also takes an element of, as I said, emotional maturity, self awareness, to also hold back and control yourself in certain situations, when, particularly when your emotions are pressed in certain situations, you really have to
mm,
know yourself and be like, okay, rein it in. How do
mm-hmm.
I deal with this?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that
Mm.
is a fun one. Okay. Um well, another one that Cholwe hates, that's a
Oh
pet peeve
wow.
for her, is ghosting other people.
Oh, I was gonna say, which one are you gonna say?
I just found this to be a fun
Yes,
one.
ghosting. I mean, it's almost related to this idea of managing emotions. Um, but I just don't know I don't know where we lost it, where we just cannot properly acknowledge other human beings and just say, hey, this has been great. It's not working out. I'm going to go in my direction. Good luck. And, That's it. You don't even have to say we're gonna meet again. We don't even have to say maybe we should do coffee sometimes. Because I've seen sometimes people want to sort of say, yeah, but we can kind of be friends, or and my here, when it comes to ghosting here, I'm referring to just friendships, uh romantic possibilities or connections, like, whether it's employee and employer. I think at some point it was a thing in the working world, but
Mm-hmm.
just this idea of just being like, I'm just gonna drop this interaction, this social interaction I was having with this person, um, and just nothing, like just okay, like out of thin air, like you, as if you never existed. Um, and I always wonder whether it's just the person who does the ghosting can say, well, I don't have time, also doesn't or lacks the emotional maturity to be able to confidently say, hi, this has been great, but it's not going well. And goodbye. I wish you luck. And that's it. And so I don't know what I don't know if there's any thrill associated with ghosting. I don't know if there's any less pain associated with ghosting. It just to me shows a lack of emotional maturity. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I just don't know why it's a thing, because yeah, it's it's just it's just annoying, really.
I think it's because you're very good at being able to express your feelings and express where
Mm,
you're at. And I think not everyone is good at doing that. Um, so if you're
mm,
not able to do that, then it might be easier to default to ghosting someone. Now, for me, I feel like it just depends on the level of commitment or you are with this person. Like if I've been friends with you for years and then you just ghost me,
mm,
yes, there's an issue there. But if I've
mm,
barely known you, like I met you one day and that's it, I wouldn't mind because I'm just like you're not really it's not significant. You're not significant enough in my life for me to care. I think it's more so
mm,
when it's someone has had some meaningful impact in your life. That's when for me it'll be like it's ghosting just doesn't do it because it also doesn't give you closure. Um,
mm.
so yeah, I think that's how I look at it more so.
I see. Yeah, I can understand. I can understand that, where it's you haven't made there hasn't been commitment, but it just I just question whether, I know growing up it was, you learn things like say thank you when someone does something for you. um uh if you're going to be late, tell someone you're going to be late. Just those, like, you basic, what I want to consider basic human interactions. um and I don't know, and maybe I'm exaggerating because I feel like ghosting is the absence of those basic human ways that we should be interacting. And now all of a sudden it's just like I'm just gonna drop things, like I see it as just being like I'm just not even going to acknowledge your existence.
Mm.
And I don't know if we're saving time. Like, maybe there are benefits to ghosting that I haven't, and I'm honestly just being open minded now. Like, maybe, as you said, why even bother when your interaction has been so small? But and maybe I'm just looking at it from more of like I don't know if it's a classier way to just to stop a connection, like, I don't know. That's my thing on that. It just seems so rude, excessively rude, I guess, but that could just be me.
I mean, at least that's how you perceive of it. So,
Yeah, yeah. So
uh,
let's be friendly, guys. Let's just, let's just there's a nice way to be disagreeable. I think for me that's just how I look at it. So
I don't think it's let's be friendly. I think because being ghosted is not necessarily being unfriendly, but I think it's like more so just express what you have to say. Just say, don't just say it. Don't
Just
just
say it.
hide. Yeah.
Yeah, just say it. Literally, just say it and then walk away. I don't know. Just yeah,
Easier said
yeah.
than done.
I
Easier
know.
said than done.
I know.
Okay, so a pet peeve of mine is people who, you know, okay, this is a pet peeve, but I know that a lot of us do it. And I have
Oh,
also been a victim of this myself. I mean, I do it myself, but
oh,
it's acting on assumptions.
oh.
Uh, and then refusing to accept the fact when you're wrong, that your assumptions were wrong.
Ah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
I feel like I'm someone who, in general, now I definitely have acted on my assumptions before, but I really aware of. I try my best not to because I realize that I might not have the full story or I might not know everything that's really happening. So I try not
Mm,
to categorize something and just say, okay, this is what's happening based off what I assume, because
mm,
I don't know if I don't have the full story. I can't just say
mhm,
something. So I'm the kind of person who'll be like, well, maybe this is what the person was thinking. Maybe it was that. There's a whole bunch of things. I kind of leave it open because there's room for multiple ways of something, occurring. But the people who just act on the assumptions and move on, and then when they realize the assumptions are wrong, it's like they refuse to like believe that no, they were wrong. And I'm like,
mm,
your assumptions are based off your beliefs and biases, which are a product of your upbringing, your environment, and all that. So
mhm,
just because you assume that this is what's happening does not mean that it is what is happening. And when someone
mhm,
tells you that this is not what happened, and then you're refusing to believe or you're just being stubborn, and like that's when it just pisses me off. Because in your
mm,
head, you're like, no, that doesn't make sense. Or like, you're just like, huh? And I'm like, no, like, you assume that that's your assumption. It doesn't mean it's what's happening.
mhm.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes people just refuse to um, accept the fact that they're wrong, or and I'm kind of person who, like, particularly, I would challenge you on your assumption and be like, well, why do you assume that? And
Mhm,
I do it in a nice way, but like, I definitely ask that because it's it's just annoying, but it takes a
mhm,
lot of it's a really hard thing to do. And I'm going to be the first one to admit it, that I have done that before, but a lot of times I
mhm,
catch myself that when things are actually, that when I realize that things have turned out differently, I admit it. I'll be like, oh wow, like, I was wrong and I assumed this and that, because it's just, and it can go from something so simple to something
mhm,
really complicated. Like, I think a simple thing that we had, I really found this funny when I thought about it, is how we do our career series episodes. And my assumption was we're going to do it at the end of every month, which would technically be every fourth episode, kind of
mm.
thing. And then I think your assumption was based of the number of episodes, like it'd be every,
Yeah, every 3 episodes, then the
or
4th
something
one
like
is
that. Yeah,
yeah.
but which it doesn't. It kind of misaligns for certain months. So my assumption was like we're going to do it the whole end of the month, and then your assumption
Mm,
was every fourth
3
episode.
yeah,
Every
every
four
4th episode.
episodes. I found it really, when I realized that, I'm like, wow, had totally different um, views on how this was gonna happen, and I assumed
Yeah,
that the way what I was thinking is what you were thinking, and it was just really interesting to be like, oh wow, Cholwe thought something different, and this is how it is in the
yeah,
world. We all assume different things, but like,
yeah,
acting, I think being able to not act on your assumptions, if for the most part, because I know it's not easy, but it's
mhm,
important to be able to try and you know
mhm.
give room for, to let things unfold. Then you'll be able to see, was I actually right or was I wrong? Like, yeah.
Right. No, 100%. You know what you remind me of with this one is I've also come to notice that a lot of people don't realize this, and I think I at one point did not realize this, is that my perception is my reality, and another person has a different perception, and it's their reality. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just the truth. And I've seen people try to convince another person that no, their reality is the true reality, and it's like, no, that's not how it works, because this person is looking at it from a different angle, so they're seeing something different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is where you find people being like, "Oh no, but this is the truth. This is the real truth." And like you, when I'm faced with people like this, I just back away, because I'm like, you know what? Good luck in your world, and I wish you all the best. I'm out, because then there's no room for me to share the way I see things. It's just you're telling me, and such individuals tend to be like, they'll, you, all you have to do is tell them, like, you tell them that you think the way they think, and now they think, oh, you are my best friend, or you connect well with me because you have the same beliefs, but because they're not. Yeah, it's it's uh it's a mess. I don't know. That's But I agree with you. Assumptions are dangerous, very dangerous.
You know, the whole people's perception is their reality. But I
Mhm.
always add, your reality does not necessarily mean it's the truth.
Yes.
Because there are certain situations in which there actually is a truth,
Yeah.
and you're wrong, even though, because it just happens. There are certain situations in which your perception is your reality, and your perception is based off, your environment, how you grew up, and your all that stuff, your biases and all that. But you could be wrong.
Mhm.
There are there's
Mhm.
certain situations in which no one necessarily is wrong. Or there might not be
Mhm.
like a truth, but there are certain situations in which there is a clear truth, but you just can't see it because of
Mhm.
your biases or something. So I don't know.
No, that's true. I like that as well. So some really good points on that. Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
people do find it hard to you know, just accept that they were wrong, or that, there's another way of looking at it. So I agree with you. It People do find it really hard.
They find it hard, but I mean, guys, this is life. You're the only person who exists on this planet. So
Thank you. Thank
have
you.
different people have different ways of thinking about things, different ways of doing things, and you just have to deal with it. But
Yeah.
okay.
No. Yeah.
But this kind of works into another pet peeve of ours, which I think this sounds like a Cholway pet peeve, is
Uh-oh.
try to win over petty things.
Oh.
This sounds like something you would
Wow.
say.
Yes. Oh my goodness. When you were reading them out, I'm like, oh yes. I was like, because in my head, I was like, what did I say? Um, but yes, petty things. Like for me, it's like when people try to feel or fuel their ego in a way, but over things that are very small. And in my mind, the world is so big, and that we can use that energy to do bigger things. um and I'm trying to give an example. It's not Nothing is coming to mind, but and I sometimes see this play out in workplaces, where if maybe there's a rule, say there's a rule that you should not have, I'm just making this up, you should not have coffee mugs in the boardroom, because it might stain the carpet if you drop your coffee or something like that. And then I don't know, and then and someone does take the coffee mug. in the boardroom, and there'll be that one person who's like, "Oh, this person left this coffee mug in the boardroom, even though we were told not to, leave coffee mugs in the boardroom." Like, like in my mind, something like that, I would be like, why didn't you just pick up the coffee mug, remove it from the boardroom, and then tell the person, like, hey, we have this policy about coffee mugs. We don't allow them in the boardroom for these reasons. But like when someone wants to somehow shine over something that it's like a very small act,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, but maybe they want to shine, as in like they want to tell everybody that they're a rule follower, and they would never do something like leave a coffee mug in the boardroom because they're good people, or like, and it's just so small. And they just want to win, but it's such a small win. And I'm just like, how do you want to win like that? Like even in traffic, when someone wants to get ahead by only one car, like you want to
Mm-hmm.
literally get ahead because somehow you're going to save 2 seconds or probably none, because the life doesn't work that way. And you're thinking by trying to get in front of me, you're somehow going to change the world. I don't know. That is just frustrating to me, because I'm like, there is so much that we have to do on this planet. And doing this is just like, no, you're not saving anybody, and you're just wasting energy. Like, let's just focus on what really needs to get done. And maybe I'm just a big thinker, or maybe I think more about this, but that stuff just, my brain is just like, really? Really? You made me think about this when you could have been thinking about other things? Sorry, I needed to release that.
It sounded like you're like, huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
I mean, I
Like,
get it. I think it's because you think you're very much a deep thinker. So you're just like, well, what was the point? And then
yes.
if you,
Yeah.
and then if you don't see your point, you're just like, okay.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I just feel like I've wasted like 10 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes of my life I would never get back. And I was like, why?
I mean, I see that happening all the time when people drive. That the whole getting ahead of you or
Yeah.
speeding really fast just to end up being caught at the same traffic light, and then I just pull up right next to you
Yeah.
and the same traffic light. And in my head, I'm like, so where did you go? How far did it get you?
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm just like, where is that coming from? Like, you decided to wake up in the morning and try to win life at doing this. Really? Really? Like, come on, people.
Oh, funny, funny. Okay. So I would probably say the last two things we'll say real fast. This one is just really funny. This one is me, might be me being petty.
Oh.
But I hate it when people chew gum loudly.
Oh.
I absolutely hate it. It's so annoying. Like, can you chew with your mouth closed?
Oh,
Like,
man.
where is the classiness in chewing with your mouth open, and particularly chewing gum and like smacking your lips and stuff? Like, what is the point? Just
Oh,
close your
man.
mouth and chew properly. That's my.
I still, the funny thing is that I haven't chewed gum in a long time. I haven't had gum in a long time, chewing gum. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, what's the goal of that in the first place? Now that I think about it. Like, if you want to eat something, can't you just eat? Like, what is it? A mouth exercise? Um, so yeah, it's just like, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that in the first place?
I don't
Uh,
know. It's the same thing as like when people have a toothpick and they just have
oh,
this toothpick stuck in their teeth. Like they're just walking around as if
yeah.
it's like, I don't know, like a badge of honor. I don't know what
Fashion.
it is.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of leaving the toothpick in your mouth? Like when you use it, throw it away. and move on. You don't be walking around with a toothpick or like
Right.
floss, and you're flossing as you're walking to the train or something. I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
can you do
I
that
don't
in
know.
private, or like do it in one spot and then move on? Don't be walking around with it.
Exactly. Like, yeah, don't entertain. Why are we doing this? There's other things to do.
These better things to do.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
seriously.
it's funny. Okay, last one. Um, it would be pet peeve is people who interrupt others.
Mm,
Like they just cannot wait for others to finish their train of thought, and they just have to interrupt and interrupt, interrupt.
yeah.
I don't know.
Mm,
Actually, I do realize that part of this is emotional dysregulation. Part of it
yeah.
is someone who might be actually have social anxiety, or has is not the best at communicating, or maybe like a need to be hard. So you just keep on interrupting. But I did have people who I have had like colleagues and stuff in the past, or friends, but not really friends, but like who literally they just have to interrupt you, and like they just it's as if they take over your train of thought and go along with it, or they just stop, just interrupt you and go on with whatever they're speaking. And it's like, it's rude. And it's
Mm-hmm.
also annoying. It's like, let someone else finish what they have to say, and then you speak. But do you have to, like, the whole interrupting is like, my goodness, guys, please. You can
Mm-hmm.
wait, hold what you have to say in, and then in the right moment interject.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. It's going back to this whole idea of yeah, emotion management, I guess. Um where people want to because they're feeling all of this energy within them and they just want to say whatever they're saying, but they're not acknowledging also that the person is equally in their same position and have the flow to speak, and then just let them finish um, speaking. So it's actually very interesting that a lot of our pet peeves are around social interactions or having to do with
Mm.
human to human interactions, which says it's probably saying something about the current state of society. I don't know, but and
It's
what we need to
true.
work on.
It's like a lot of what we're talking about also delves into emotional maturity, self awareness, and all that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Fun. I enjoyed this. I think it was fun, enlightening, good release, and
Yeah. Oof.
yeah. But we have come to the end of this episode. As per usual, please like, rate us, subscribe, share us with your friends, your families, anyone who you think would benefit from this podcast. We're on all the major podcast platforms, including YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and all the major ones slash non-major ones out there. Um, so if you want to listen to us on YouTube, go ahead. Um,
Yes.
we are building our subscriber count, and we would love, to be able to interact with you guys more. Feel free to, interact with us. We'll probably be having, some little polls, questions here and there. So would love for you guys to interact with us on Spotify. You can always email us at thefeminine@liars@gmail.com. And, you know, again, we just really want to have as much interaction with you guys, our viewers, our listeners. So
Mhm.
feel free to get a hold of us whenever you want to. But for now, have fun, live large, and don't be afraid to be an outlier.